Dear Pauline, Bigot, Hanson, this is anonymous. For all intensive purposes we are atheists, but have no problems with religion, as long as they can live peacefully with one another. We have noticed that you have been spreading hate, and telling the people of Australia lies. I would like to go over some of your policies and principles. Number 1. On your website you say, Australia is for Australians, and under our constitution only Australians decide our laws and obligations, decide who will enter and live in our country, and decide how we ensure our nation's safety and economic security. This is almost fascism. Saying that only people with Australian blood may decide in the direction in which Australia is heading. If this not what you mean, be more specific, as only Australian citizens can vote now anyway. Number 2. You say, our children are the future leaders of our nation. They must be given every opportunity to a decent affordable education. Our children must have priority to fill school and university enrollments before those of international students. Instead of making roles in education a priority for Australians, impose free education. People should not have to pay for knowledge. It is not the government's to keep under lock and key. It is not for companies to make profit off. This is knowledge that should be readily available to every human in Australia. If we really want to make a change in this world, wipe student debt. Number 3. You say you want to treat all Australians justly. Yet you say on your website, and I quote, to stop the teaching and infiltration of Islam and its totalitarian ideology that opposes our democracy, way of life and laws. You are using fear as a weapon to improve your own position amongst the Australian people. If you do not stop, we will stop you. Also you say, and I quote again, to oppose Sharia law ever being allowed in Australia. We are a Christian country with one law for all. Muslims made up 2.2% of 22.34 million people in Australia in 2011, which accounts for 491,480 of all Australians. Sharia law will never, ever, come over to Australia. Number 4. Your religious tolerance towards others is disgusting to see. If you are a Christian, and can't accept other religions for what they are, you are no longer a Christian. You seem to think no other religion matters except for your own. To quote your leader the Pope this year, he says that while people from various global faiths may be seeking God or meeting God in different ways, that it is important to keep in mind that we are all children of God. In other words, even though you have different faiths, you are all one in the same. Number 5. Tariff protection does many things that have no benefit to the working Australian. Tariff protection that is introduced in areas with none at this current time will suffer higher prices for the consumer, and in turn more profit for the producer. If tariff protection is not restored, there will be more competition from overseas, leading to price drops for you the consumer. Essentially clothes, computers and the majority of imported items are cheaper. Number 6. Your ridicule of halal food is unfair and unjust. If you were a vegan, and I said you couldn't eat what you wanted to eat just because I disagree with it, your argument would be saying that we are taking away some of your human rights. Indeed, this is what you are trying to do to Muslims in Australia right now. You go on and on and on about freedom and treating people with respect, yet you have known yourself. I will eat what I want to eat, whether it be halal certified food or not, and some power-hungry bigot will not tell me otherwise. Number 7, and perhaps the most important. You say, marriage between two people of the same sex is a social issue, and one nation believes all Australians should have the right to vote in a referendum, rather than a vote on the floor of Parliament. If it is to be determined by Parliament, then one nation members of Parliament will be allowed a conscience vote. We also acknowledge that same-sex couples living in de facto relationships should be afforded the same property rights as heterosexual couples. It should just be legalized. Stop beating around the bush. Australians who are not in a same-sex marriage have no right to choose whether two men or two women can get married. This is exactly like the case of Loving vs. the state of Virginia, in which a black man or woman could not marry a white man or woman. This was seen as unjust in 1967, yet here we are in 2016 in Australia, a modern country of today's society, and we can't even let two people who are in love get married. I hope you are slowly coming to terms with how ridiculous you sound to the rest of the world. Heed this warning. I am asking you nicely to reiterate your views in public, or on social media, or face the consequences of your actions. I also ask all Australians who support Pauline Hanson to wake up and see that she is doing nothing more than manipulating you into thinking what she is saying is right. Half of the comments she makes have no actual evidence to back it up. Create pages, protest at her house, protest against her website, and most importantly tell everyone what you have come to realize today. Do not be fooled by attempts to persuade your mind of the real issues of today's society. Freedom and rights, homelessness, poverty and privacy. We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us.